Hello and welcome to our new episode of TJS Community Podcast. My name is Asma Ibrahim and I'll be your host. We have a special guest who has been studying Bachelor of Architecture in Taylor's University and would love to get more insight onto her experience. So, hi, hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That's great. I'm doing well. So, can you tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and what inspired you to pursue architecture?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, my name is Omama and I'm from Pakistan. I'm 22 years old and I've been studying Bachelor's of Architecture for the last 2 years, and this is my last year, so I'll be graduating, inshallah,
All
this
right,
year.
congratulations.
Yeah,
That
thank
must
you.
be like bittersweet.
Kind of, yes. I will 100% miss this.
All right, that's great. So, actually, jumping into our next question, what has your experience been like as an international student here in Malaysia, and how does it compare back home in Pakistan?
Back home, I feel like the main difference that I felt when I came to Malaysia first was Malaysia, things are a little fast paced. That's what I felt, because in Pakistan, you kind of take it at your own pace. In fact, in Pakistan, the Bachelor's of Architecture is 5 years. So when I came here, I had to condense that degree into 3 years, which was a very good thing for me. So that's why I
All right,
pursued it
wow.
here.
I can't imagine taking a 5 year course just for architecture.
Exactly, yes, 100%. That's why that was one of my motives to come to Malaysia as well. And also, everything's online here. It's very digitalized, it's very fast paced in that sense, which I also liked. I feel like that's something that I could take back home as well to
All
kind of
right,
like
that's
get
great
there
then.
as
So,
well.
in
Yeah.
terms of digitalization and the speed of learning, it's faster
It's
here in
way
Malaysia.
faster, 100%.
All right, that's great. So in that case, I'm focusing on Taylor specifically. What is the student life like at Taylor's, and how does international community really support each other within the
That is
university?
that is one of the things that stood out to me the most, because Taylor's, the university especially, has a lot of international students, so you don't feel like out of place or anything. You feel right at home. There's a lot of students who are going through the same journey as you, so I kind of felt very comfortable when I first came, and they've been supportive throughout. There's a lot of societies that you could join to feel right at home. There's a Pakistani society, there's an Indian society, there's every country has its own society, so you kind of find your own people as well. And if you want to mingle around, there's also like an international society that I joined, so kind of felt right at home. You kind of explore Malaysia together, so it's way more fun when you experience it with people who are also going through the same journey as you.
Wow, that's great then.
Yeah.
How about specifically in your class, like within the architecture or built environment
Yeah.
faculty? How does the international student body is there?
Yeah, it is. I was surprised to find out that, because since it's a batch of 100 people, let's say, there were like 20 to 30 people who were actually international people. So I was kind of shocked. I was like, at first I thought there wouldn't be that many, but there were, which kind of felt amazing. And so you're kind of living away from home too. So doing projects together was way helpful.
That's great.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because architecture actually is one of the highest demanding courses in
Yes,
Taylor. So
100%.
I could expect the large amount of international students. So, since you mentioned the degree exactly, so I want to know a little bit more in terms of the academic life, or what actually architecture entails. So, knowing that architecture is actually very demanding, what challenges have you faced during your studies, and how have you personally overcome them?
Oh yeah. So first year, you're kind of told to make a lot of physical models. As you move forward, it becomes more online. However, like digital stuff. But in the first year, we had to make a lot of physical stuff, like with your hands. You have to cut and stuff. So once I actually accidentally cut my finger off almost, and that was a crazy experience. And I had to rush to the hospital that day. So being an international student, you have to know where and where what not to do and stuff. So those are some challenges that you have to face on the way with especially architecture, because other degrees you have to study, but in this one you have to create.
So it's like a Bob the Builder
Yes,
moment, where you have to
100%.
build your own
Yes,
thing, and like
exactly.
basically you are the person, the main
Yep.
person for the project.
100%. And even going to uni, you have to hold so much stuff. Like you can never
Wow.
just go with a bag and just walk into class. You have to be holding like model making materials, cutters, glues, and stuff like that. So that is
Wow.
kind of like a challenge.
That's great then, because a lot of people undermine architecture, especially comparing it to engineering courses, but
Oh,
it
yes.
is real.
It is
difficult.
real, 100%.
That's great then. So in that case, like when it comes to your background, who influenced you really to like architecture or go into the design field?
Oh, so I think it was myself, because growing up, I used to play with Lego and doll houses, and that kind of fascinated me. I was more towards the artistic side, and growing up, I always used to take art classes on the side, like as a another subject. And so I did want to do something related to art and, creativity, but I did not have a lot of options. And especially if you just go into art, you don't really use your mathematical brain or, scientific brain. And I wanted to combine science and art. So this was the perfect field for me that stood out the most.
Definitely. Now that you've explaining it, it's basically the best of both worlds. That's
exactly.
Great then. So now the hot question is, what is your favorite project? I know you mentioned that you've cut your hand and you've gone through all the difficulties, but what are some of the moments within your architectural journey that you truly, really enjoyed, especially project-wise?
So we had one of our, in the first year and towards the end of the year, we had this project where we had to create a physical, man-sized model where you could, walk in and experience that place, not just creating it, So we had to create a structure by building it. So we had a first hands-on experience with construction, which was very crazy. We had to work with a big team, kind of construct it for real people. So it was very nice, introducing, and we had to make it out of bamboo, which is a very nice material as well. So in that sense, it was very nice. Got to meet people, architects who kind of helped us as well. We learned a lot. I think that
That's
was
great. I think this is the first time that I'm actually hearing from an architecture student where they have to build real size for people. Because what I know is usually the projects are very minuscule basis, and of course you still test the technicalities and on, but it's great. And I like the fact that also tailors introduce industry players where you actually meet them and speak to real architects as well. All right,
that is one of the things. And also one thing that stood out the most was after every, the end of the semester, you have to make this main project, which you actually pitch to architects themselves. So they come to your university and you pitch them. Your final jury is towards them, which is very nice because you kind of get to know what the industry is like, what the firms are like, what they demand. That's very nice.
Like that. So it's basically you having the idea, verifying the process through your lecture, and in the end of the day, getting the final validation from real industry architects.
Exactly.
Wow, that's great then. So I can see that you're very excited into the architecture path and journey. So coming into your future within architecture, as a final year student, as we mentioned earlier, what are your plans after graduations? And do you see yourself working in Malaysia, Pakistan, or where would be your desired destination for your architecture work?
So I haven't really thought about the place yet, but however, I really want to go into the work field right after I graduate because it's recommended that you do work for at least 6 months of experience or kind of intern somewhere so you can get a hands-on experience, how it's like in the real world. So I would like that first, and then I would want to go for a master's. So maybe a year of working and gaining experience, and then maybe applying for a master's. Hopefully, I would want to try to study in Malaysia as well because I've really enjoyed the experience so far. Or I'd also kind of open my options to other countries as well. Depends.
All right, that's great then. So basically, you're open to new opportunities. You don't have a specific place.
Yeah, I don't have a specific.
That's great then. So the last question would be, and I think it's very important for those who are interested to actually pursue a degree in architecture and seeing the real realities of the difficulties such as cutting your hand. Be careful, that's the advisor out there. What advice would you give students from Pakistan or even other countries who are contemplating pursuing architecture in Malaysia specifically?
Yeah, I would say before coming in, you have to be mentally prepared to put in the effort because it's not even like you're working 8 hours a day, 6 hours a day. It's something that you're doing 24/7 continuously. Like it's always going to be in your brain, your next project, your next thing. You're always going to be thinking about it. So even if it's not much of learning or grasping stuff, it's more about applying it. So you have to be continuously on the move. And you have to be ready to spend countless of hours in the studio. You're not going to be able to go home or have your meals on time. Maybe some days you're going to have 3 hours of sleep, 2 hours of sleep, maybe no sleep at all. That happens as well. So you have to be prepared if you want to come towards it.
And I have a personal question for
sure.
you. It's a funny one. Why do engineers hate architects so much?
I am not too sure because I've never met I would say the answer could be because the architects are responsible for just creating, and that's the fun part of it. So we just design it, in an interesting manners. We go all the way without thinking what actually the engineers might have to face afterwards. So if we're creating a crazy building, Once it goes through the engineers, they're like, oh my God, how do we pull this off? Because that is the struggle. The main struggle is to kind of like
basically how to actualize this design in real life.
For us, it's like more creative. We're just going outside of the box, thinking of all the possibilities. But to them, it's like the real, like they have to sit down and be like, okay, now we have to make this.
We have to make it. All right, that's great then. So it's basically the designing, the thought process, and then there's the making process.
Yes, 100%.
So there can be some clash.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. That was a personal note, anyways. So to close off, basically, I would like to say thank you so much for joining our podcast today, for sharing your experience. And from TJS, we do wish you the best of journey in terms of your architecture.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
And from TJS family, would like to wish you good luck in terms of your academic and architecture journey. My name is Asma. Thank you for tuning into our episode. Please like, share, and subscribe so you can get more content.